Hello and welcome to another edition of In the Spotlight. My name's Laurel Starks and I am your host. I'm excited to introduce you to our next guest. Cammie Bigham comes to us out of Spokane, Washington. She serves the Spokane and the Eastern Washington market. And Cammie is here to share all of her insights about being a CDRE, to realtors, to lawyers, and to divorcing homeowners. But a little bit about Cammie. She was licensed in 2019, and shortly thereafter, in 2021, she became a certified divorce real estate expert. So CDRE takes up the bulk of her career. She also has been certified as an SFR, short sale and foreclosure specialist through the National Association of Realtors. Prior to getting into real estate, Cammie also obtained her master paralegal certification, and she serves now with the Alumni Institute. She serves as one of our advisors. She helps to mentor, shape, and coach our new students who are going through the program during their 12 weeks. Cammie is also on the Alumni Speakers Bureau. So what she does through that is she is certified to provide continuing legal education to family law attorneys, and she also sometimes speaks to judicial officers. In addition to that, Cammie just recently was appointed as an executive board member for the Inland Empire Legal Aid chapter up there in Spokane. And so she's got a wealth of experience. We're excited she's here. Welcome, Cammie.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
So Cammie, tell us a little bit about your business. I mean, you had been a realtor for just a few years before you got in at an interesting time. You got in 2019 and then boom, COVID hit. The whole industry shut down.
Yep.
You must have been like, what was I thinking getting into real estate?
What was going on? Yeah. It is super interesting. So real estate probably should have been something that was in my background way sooner than it was. My family background, they had rental property. That's how, they made a living. I myself became a homeowner and had rental property at a very young age. And so that was kind of that should have been second nature to just become a real estate agent. But I didn't. I kind of focused on family, had a banking career just short of 20 years. And, just kind of made my way through that, and then recognized I was kind of ready to go back to work. My kids were getting a little bit older. I've done the board seats on all the school functions, and it was time to kind of get back into it. And real estate I just felt was like the next step. I found my home at Century 21, which has been amazing, and a friend and mentor there who also, facilitated us purchasing our homes and became the agent to our family. I said, I think I want to go into real estate. He's like, yes, how fast can you get your license? Wow. So I was working on that. Shortly after coming in, he recognized we had an opportunity to represent a local builder in a new development in Deer Park. And that kind of was the kickoff for a lot of my business at first. Huge learning curve. I mean, new construction can feel very one-sided, and yet there's so many different people and transactions and so many different nuances along the way that you really do get to kind of see, how are these homes built? What does that mean? What does this whole process look like, right? So it really was and you're still in the throes of all the negotiations. But COVID did hit, and we kind of got a big pause on that. And I was just working my sphere, and you'd be the floor agent and stuff would just kind of trickle in, but we stayed busy. I mean, we just did. And then somewhere along the way, my mentor, his is really kind of the fine home and estates. And that's kind of where he has really built a name for himself. And, as appealing as that might be on paper, I just didn't feel like that was where I would hone my skills and what would appeal to me. Right. I had previously been divorced, and I was helping actually a family member. My dad was going through a divorce while I was getting my real estate license, and just having my own experiences owning real estate and what I was learning. I was very helpful to him with his attorney. And then his attorney actually made a comment, do you know how much money your daughter has saved you with some of the stuff that I brought to the forefront? And so I kind of was like, there's got to be something there. I didn't know how or what it was, but I just felt like that was my passion. My mentor is like, find your niche. Everybody's got something that they bring extra to the table. Either you're, relo specialist or first time home buyer specialist or whatever. And so while I was working these other things, I was still trying to find my path into divorce. I had joined Women's Council of Realtors, and somewhere along the way, that's how I found you. You did a presentation over COVID. It was actually California and Washington shared a lot of information, and I happened to be on the right program at the right time.
Wow. That is, yeah. And I can definitely see, I mean, you've gone through your own experience, like you said, your dad, you're sort of, in that space a little bit, plus you've got real estate. And so trying to find that, it makes a lot of sense. So what is your business like now?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Trying to make myself known to the family law community, really digging in deep with the Bar Association. It took some time. I mean, that wasn't an easy feat. We always talk about imposter syndrome, and they get bombarded all the time by real estate agents. But the education that the alumni has provided, and not just the education, but the mentoring and the support, really allowed me the confidence to go out there and really continue to push my rock up the hill. I feel like I know they need me, even if they don't always know they need me. I know they need me, and that echo is finally like coming back to me. They do recognize I've got several offices that 100% are on board. They fight to kind of have me on their case, and that's been really interesting. When I was first making this shift, I didn't really know yet what I wanted my growth to be. I just wanted, if I just got a lunch with an attorney or I got called to even consult on a case, I felt like that was a big win, right? It takes a little time to kind of build that. And now I'm just seeing some constant, I'm getting several calls a week at just the initiating stage. These aren't fast. This is not a fast-paced environment. I think the goal is that you're preloading, if you will, your pipeline, and you can kind of see what's coming. But there's nothing fast about any of these cases, and at any given point, they can take a major halt off the train and pause, and you've got to have stuff to kind of fill it in. So I would say the first year or two, I really didn't see a big impact. I just was continuing to push that rock. I was getting more connections and more conversations. But year 3, something just shifted, and I was getting just regular phone calls, regular conversations. My first appointments started coming in. Prior to that, I was kind of more mutually agreed upon. And kind of when you see that big shift, it's a testament to everything that alumni has taught us. You just keep doing the things, right? And this year, so I would say last year, year 3, I had about a 25% of my business shifted to divorce real estate. And this year, I'm working upwards of, it's probably going to be right at 50%, if not slightly higher, that my business model has shifted. I wouldn't say I've had a significant growth year over year from 3 to 4, but the business model is shifting. And for that, that feels really good to me, because my goal was not only to be providing a huge service to the community, something I know only a handful of us are trained to do, but to have a business model that, can withstand market conditions, ups and downs. These folks, unfortunately, are in situations they don't have the ability to say, well, let's just wait and see what the market does. They've got to make some significant changes or decisions, and to be able to be a part of that and help educate them and ensure that they're making those educated decisions is really exciting. So I'm excited. I feel like that big shift for me is pretty significant in the short time.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, it's like, pushing a rock up a hill, and then eventually once you kind of crest it, then it becomes, then it kind of goes downhill and it starts to snowball down. Yeah. And so that's what you're starting to experience now. I love it. What advice would you give to a realtor who is looking to get into the divorce?
So I would really say, we talk about it all the time with students and in the back end, time blocking. For better or worse, I had a decent business for somebody that had only been in the business a couple years, but I didn't have, an outrageous traditional business that was dragging me behind it. And so I was able to set aside the necessary time to really get the training, do all the things, do all of the pavement pounding that it really takes to get yourself out there and to be known. And aside from that, it's really the education component, right? I quickly learned that it wasn't just enough to have the credential, just like, we get the at home with diversity, or you do the short sale and it's kind of a one-time thing. And now you get to call yourself that specialist. I quickly realized I would not actually be comfortable calling myself a certified divorce real estate expert unless I stuck with the continued education that is offered from the alumni. There's so many changes and so many nuances. So I would say you really have to give yourself not only the time to become a CDRE, but then to further your craft to be able to really fully execute what these people need from us. It's not even about us. It's what we bring to the community, what the attorneys need, what their clients need. They don't always know, right? Which is why we're here. And so you really have to have the time to dedicate to those needs.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Really good information. So you've now, I mean, you're shifting to, this is, becoming about 50% of your business. You've seen your share
Yeah.
of cases. You've worked with your share of clients. What advice would you give to someone who is going through a divorce or about to go through a divorce?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard, right? We get these clients at all stages. Everybody's on a different part of their own emotional roller coaster journey. And so I would just ask those folks to be open to the recommendations of the specialist, the divorce real estate expert. We are here to guide and assist within the parameters of, their final orders, whatever that looks like. Our decisions are not ever intended to be personal, right? We're here to guide them, but we're also not here to rescue them. Those are two different, scenarios. And so to just be open and to continue to keep the big picture in mind. I mean, the reason they are in this place, for better or worse, is one or both no longer want to be together. And so if they can keep that big picture in mind, sometimes, there's a lot of, even in traditional, people are, they say they want to sell their house and move up or downsize, but they usually have such an emotional pool that they have a hard time with that negotiation piece, right? And I would say that emotional effect is probably tenfold on folks that are going through a divorce. And so if they can allow themselves the space to focus on the big picture and trust the recommendations of their divorce real estate expert, that would help them just kind of facilitate things and move forward.
Yeah, that's very good advice. I always say
Yes,
conflict is
it
costly.
is.
In many ways. Yeah. You've also in all of your experience and in not only in working in these cases, but you also educate family law attorneys. You sit on this board now with the Inland Empire Legal Aid. What do you think are maybe some missing links? What do you think that an attorney really needs to know that they may not
I think there is a big misconception that attorneys fully understand or should understand real estate law, right? Those are two different animals. We're throwing them into the same lane because of the divorce, but they have two different trajectories, two different minds of their own. And I think I would just ask that they, don't make assumptions with regard to the real estate. Don't make assumptions about what clients can or can't do in the real world. Those assumptions affect their underwriting abilities with a loan down the road. They affect their ability to actually facilitate selling the asset, right? We see that a lot where they've actually unintentionally tied up that asset and made it difficult to get rid of, even though in the same paragraph they're talking about the need to dispose of it. And so to be able to know when they need to reach out to a certified divorce real estate expert for specific language or for language that will facilitate what their primary goals are to know when to make that call. That's just, I think, the big ask that we're all working towards, right? It's the mission of the alumni is to, make sure that a certified divorce real estate expert is always on a case. And it comes from a point of ensuring that we're able to educate everybody, lawyers included, and their clients, so that they can make, decisions that are well thought out and actually attainable in the real world. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a big disconnect between what we see in court orders versus what can
Absolutely.
be carried out. And so, excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Cammie. You're a wealth of information. You're a huge value to our
Thank you.
program, to your community. And it's always a
I
pleasure getting to
appreciate
sit
it.
down and
Thank you for
talk with
taking
you.
the
So
time.
thank you.